Commander Daniel Foster walked through the crystal hallways of the palace. His boots made small sounds on the smooth floor. Around him, the walls showed the power of the. They were tall beings with hard shells and many arms. They ruled a large part of the galaxy. Humans, in their eyes, were nothing, just a new species that had appeared in the stars not long ago. Daniel carried the weight of this truth as he moved deeper into the palace. He was here to make peace with the. His mission was simple but dangerous. Humans needed to accept them as a real people. Without this, humanity would always be in danger. The galaxy did not care about the weak. The negotiations so far had been cold. The leaders looked at Daniel and his team like they were insects under a stone. They spoke with hard voices and colder hearts. One queen sat on a high throne and barely looked at them when they spoke. Her name was Queen Meridian. She ruled all of space. Her word was law across 100 worlds. Daniel's team included 2 other humans. Captain Lisa Grant was a soldier. She was tall and strong. Her dark eyes watched everything and everyone. Engineer Murphy was quiet and smart. He kept the communication systems working. Together, they tried to show that humans were not savages. They tried to show they could be trusted. But they did not care. The morning of the 3rd day of talks brought a sudden change. Alarms started to sound throughout the palace. The noise was loud and sharp. It made Daniel's heart beat faster. Guards ran past them in the hallways. Weapons were in their hands. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. Captain Grant grabbed Daniel's arm. "We need to take cover," she said. A guard rushed toward them. His shell was cracked in one place. Blood ran from his mouth. He tried to speak but only made a clicking sound. Then he fell to the ground. "Attack," Murphy said. "They are under attack." An explosion came from deeper in the palace. The floor under their feet moved. Dust fell from the ceiling. Daniel looked at his team. They could run. They could hide. They could try to get to the human shuttle that waited outside the palace. That would be the smart thing to do. But then Daniel heard something else. It was not the sound of weapons. It was different. It was smaller. It sounded like a child crying. Daniel did not think. He just moved. "Stay here," he told his team, and he ran toward the sound. The crying grew louder as he moved through the hallways. The palace was in chaos. More guards ran past him. The air smelled like burning metal, but Daniel kept moving. He followed the sound of that small cry. He came to a large door made of metal. It was thick and strong, but part of it was bent. A hole had been cut through it by the rebels. Daniel could see inside. The room beyond was large. It was a chamber for young creatures. He could see many eggs in containers made of glass. Heat lamps kept them warm. The eggs were blue and silver and gold. But one creature was not an egg. It was a young larva. It was small, no more than the size of a human child. Its shell was soft and cream-colored. It had many small legs. It was tangled under a piece of metal that had fallen from the ceiling. Rebel soldiers were inside the room. They wore dark armor and carried weapons. They did not see Daniel yet. They were moving through the room quickly. They were destroying things. They were trying to kill the eggs. Daniel did not think about his safety. He did not think about his mission. He did not think about Earth or humanity. He only thought about that small creature crying under the metal. He took a gun from a guard he passed. He ran into the chamber. The first rebel saw him and turned to shoot. Daniel was faster. He fired once. The rebel fell. The others turned toward him. They had not expected a human to fight them. That gave Daniel a moment. That moment was enough. He ran to the young larva. The metal piece was heavy. It took all his strength to lift it. His arms burned with the effort. His muscles screamed, but he lifted it. The young larva crawled toward him. Its legs were weak. Its eyes were wide with fear. Laser fire came close. It burned the air near Daniel's head. He picked up the young creature and ran toward the back of the chamber. A window was there. It was high up. He had no choice. He jumped. The window broke under his weight. Glass cut his face and arms. He fell into the air outside the palace. The young larva was held tight against his chest. He felt its body shake with fear, or maybe it was his body that shook. He could not tell anymore. They fell 3 stories and hit a garden below. It was made of soft plants and water. Daniel hit hard. Pain shot through his legs and back, but the young larva was safe. He still held it. His arms still protected it. Guards came running, but these were palace guards. They were not rebels. When they saw Daniel with the young creature in his arms, they stopped. They looked at him with surprise. They did not shoot. They helped him up. Inside the palace, the attack ended quickly. The queen's guards killed the rebels. The chambers with the eggs were saved. Only one young larva had been in danger. Only one, and a human had saved it. Queen Meridian herself came to see Daniel in the medical chamber. Her shell was dark green and covered in patterns of power. Her eyes were large and black. She looked at Daniel with an expression he could not read. "You risked your life for my child," she said. Her voice was low and deep like thunder. Daniel could barely speak. His body hurt everywhere, but he looked at the young larva resting on a soft platform nearby. Its eyes were closed. Its breathing was slow and calm. "It was a child," Daniel said simply. "A child needed help." The queen did not move for a long time. She just watched him with those dark eyes. Then she turned and left. But Daniel knew something had changed in that moment. He did not know what, but he felt it in his bones. The young larva would live, and Daniel's life would never be the same again. Daniel woke in the medical chamber to pain and bandages. His left leg was broken. His right arm was wrapped tight. Burns covered his chest and face. A medical unit hummed near his bed. It shot healing light at his body. The light was warm. It helped, but not enough to make the pain go away. 3 days passed. Daniel stayed in the chamber. His team came to see him. Lisa Grant told him that the negotiations had stopped. Murphy said they would leave the palace soon. Earth was waiting for them to return. But Daniel did not care about Earth right now. He cared about the young larva. He asked about it many times. The nurses did not answer him. They just made clicking sounds at each other and worked on his injuries. On the 4th day, a guard came to his chamber. The guard's shell was blue. His movements were quick and hard. "Come," the guard said. "The queen wants you." Daniel could barely walk. His leg was still broken, but he stood up. He moved slowly down the hallway. The guard did not help him. The guard just walked ahead. The palace was different now. Repairs were being made. Broken walls were being fixed. New guards stood everywhere. The attack had scared the queen and her people. They wanted to make sure nothing like that would happen again. They came to a large chamber. The room was warm. Soft lights came from above. The walls were smooth and white. In the middle of the room, the young larva lay on a stone platform. It was larger than before, but it was still very young. Its cream-colored shell was clean. Its many small legs were very still. The queen stood near the platform. She was larger than Daniel remembered. Up close, she was much bigger than any human. She could crush him without effort. "It will not eat," she said. "It will not grow, it will not rest. My scientists do not understand this." Daniel walked to the platform slowly. Each step hurt. The young larva's eyes opened. They were large and dark like the queen's eyes. The creature looked at Daniel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the larva made a sound. It was a small chirping sound. It was not like the hard clicking of the queen. It was different, softer. The young larva moved. Its legs pushed it forward. It moved toward Daniel. Its shell brushed against his leg. Then it wrapped around him gently, not to hurt him, just to touch him. The creature was warm. "It knows you," the queen said. It was not a question. "Yes," Daniel said. "Explain," the queen demanded. Daniel sat down on the ground. His leg could not hold him up anymore. The young larva stayed close to him. It rested against his chest. "In my species," Daniel began, "we protect the young. It is what we do. We will die to keep a child safe. My kind cannot stop themselves. When we see a child in danger, we act. We do not think, we just protect." The queen looked at the young larva wrapped around Daniel. "Your kind is weak," she said. "This is a weakness." "Maybe," Daniel said, "or maybe it is a strength you have forgotten." The queen was silent. "What is its name?" Daniel asked. "It has no name," the queen said. "Young creatures do not receive names until they are ready to grow into adults. This one may never grow now. This one may die." Daniel looked down at the small creature against his chest. "We should give it a name. We should give it a reason to live." "What name?" the queen asked. Daniel thought of all the names he knew. He thought of his family on Earth. He thought of the cold palace and the warm creature in his arms. He said, "Its name is—" The queen turned away. For a moment Daniel thought she would leave. He thought she would order him to stop touching the young creature, but she did not. She walked to the far side of the chamber and sat on a low stone. She watched them. "You will stay here," the queen said. "You will care for, if the young one dies, you will die also." It was not a promise. It was a threat, but Daniel did not care. He looked at and knew he would do anything to keep the creature alive. Weeks passed. Daniel moved to a chamber near. He spent every moment with the young creature. He fed it special food that the doctors prepared. He taught it sounds and movements, learned quickly. The small larva was smart, very smart. Other palace members came to watch. They whispered to each other. Their clicking sounds were angry and confused. How could a human care for the queen's child? How could a weak creature be trusted with something so important? But the young creature became larger. Its shell became harder and darker. Its eyes became sharper. And every single day it reached for Daniel. Every moment it wanted to be near him. The bond between them was strong. It was stronger than any bond. One day the queen came to watch them. Daniel was showing how to hold a piece of food with its front legs, was learning. The creature made a soft sound of happiness. The queen watched this for a long time. "You love this creature," she said finally. "Yes," Daniel said without thinking. "You are prepared to die for it," she said. "Yes," Daniel said again. The queen made a low clicking sound. It might have been approval. It might have been something else. But when she left the chamber, she did not order Daniel to leave the palace. She did not tell him to go back to Earth. She left him with— And something in the queen's dark eyes had changed. Something small but important. Daniel had shown her something she had almost forgotten. And now he would change everything. The news spread through space like a fire. A human was living in the palace. A human was caring for the queen's own child. Word reached every star system that the controlled. It reached the outer colonies and the distant trade routes. It reached the ears of every noble and every leader. Some were confused, some were angry, some were afraid. In the palace itself, the whispers became loud. Noble came to the queen's chamber. They spoke in hard voices about duty and honor. They spoke about the weakness that was spreading through the palace like poison. They wanted the human gone. They wanted things to return to normal. Was almost a year old now. The young creature was as large as a human child. Its shell was dark and strong. Its eyes were alert and intelligent. But the young larva would not go near any except Daniel. It would not eat when Daniel was not there. It would not rest when he was gone. One night a group of nobles came to find Daniel in his chamber. They were led by a named lord. His shell was black and covered in marks of old battles. His eyes held no warmth. "You are a spy," said. Daniel was sitting on his bed. His leg had healed. His burns had faded. But he felt tired. The palace was heavy with the weight of anger and fear. "I am not a spy," Daniel said. "You are a human," said. "Your kind has only known of our people for a short time. Yet you are here. You hold our queen's child. You speak soft words about family and protection. These are human tricks." Daniel stood up. "I am not here to trick anyone. I am here because needs me." "The creature needs to learn ways," another noble said. His name was Minister. He was thin and his voice was like ice. "It needs to learn strength and power, not human weakness and false feelings." "A child needs to be loved," Daniel said simply. "Love is for the weak," said. "Love is what breaks empires. It is what makes creatures soft and broken. You are teaching the Queen's child to be weak. This will destroy the people." Daniel did not argue. He had learned that arguing with was pointless. They did not think like humans. They did not understand what he was trying to say. "The Queen has allowed this," Daniel said instead. "The Queen is changing," said. "You are changing her. This is why you must leave." They left his chamber, but the threat was clear. The nobles wanted him gone. The next morning, Daniel received a message from Earth. It came through the secure communication channel that Murphy had set up. The message was from General Hayes. Her voice was cold and formal. "Commander Foster, you are ordered to return to Earth immediately with your team. Negotiations with the have failed. Other opportunities are being explored. You have 48 hours to prepare for departure. This is not a request. This is an order. End message." Daniel read the message 3 times. He felt trapped. Earth wanted him back. The nobles wanted him gone, needed him to stay. There was no choice that would make everyone happy. He went to find the Queen. She was in her chamber looking at star maps. Hundreds of worlds were marked in different colors. Some showed trade routes. Some showed military positions. This was how the Queen controlled her empire, through knowledge and power. "I have been ordered to return to Earth," Daniel said. The Queen did not look at the maps. She looked at Daniel. "Will you go?" she asked. "Will die if I leave," Daniel said. "The young creature has bonded with me. It will not eat. It will not live without me." "Your people need you," the Queen said. "Yes," Daniel agreed, "but also needs me." The Queen made a sound. It was not quite a click. It was something between a click and a hum. Daniel realized it was the sound of thinking. He had heard it before when the Queen was trying to solve problems. "The nobles are afraid of you," she said. "Yes," Daniel said. "They are afraid that you will make our people weak." "Are they right?" Daniel asked. The Queen turned away. She looked at the star maps again. "I do not know," she said finally. "I only know that is stronger since you came. The young creature learns faster. It thinks deeper. It sees things that other young do not see. Perhaps you do not make us weak. Perhaps you make us different, and I am not certain if different is bad or good." She turned back to face him. "You will not go to Earth," she said. "You will stay here. You will care for. You will show me if humans are truly as weak as my people believe." Relief flooded through Daniel's body, but he knew this was not over. The nobles would not stop. They would try again. They would find another way to force him out. "What about the nobles?" Daniel asked. "Let me handle the nobles," the Queen said. Her voice was cold and hard. It was the voice of a ruler who could not be questioned. But even as she said this, Daniel knew the truth. She was making a choice. She was choosing him and over the nobles. She was choosing something new over the old ways. In a few weeks or months, there would be a test. The nobles would push harder. The Queen would have to decide which side of history she wanted to stand on. That night Daniel held while the young creature slept. He could feel the steady heartbeat of the small. He could feel the warmth of its shell against his chest. He knew he would face storms for this creature. He would face the anger of nations. He would face the fear and hatred of people who did not understand. But he would not let go. And somewhere in the palace, the Queen watched the star maps and wondered what would happen next. She wondered if she was strong or weak for allowing this. She wondered if she was making the greatest mistake of her reign or the greatest choice. She did not have an answer yet, but she would find one soon enough. The grand hall of the palace was the largest chamber in the known galaxy. Its ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top. Its walls were covered in the records of 1,000 wars and 10,000 years of conquest. Here, the queen held court. Here, she made decisions that changed the fate of empires. Today, representatives from 50 star systems had gathered. They sat in tiers rising up from the floor. Ambassadors from the empire sat near the front. The coalition had sent their war general. The humans had sent a diplomatic team, though they did not know why they had been called to this gathering. Daniel stood in a viewing chamber above the main floor with Murphy. Lisa Grant stood nearby. None of them understood what was happening. The Queen had simply ordered them to come and watch. "This is not good," Lisa said quietly. They would not gather all these people unless something important was happening. Below them, Lord stood in the center of the hall. His black shell gleamed under the bright lights. Behind him stood a group of other nobles. Their shells were dark. Their eyes were hard. "Queen Meridian," called out. His voice echoed through the entire chamber. "We have come before this assembly to raise a question that affects not just the people, but all who deal with us. We ask about the creature that lives in your palace." Murmurs rose from the assembled representatives. "The human called Daniel Foster," continued, "a weak being from a primitive world. You have allowed this creature to live in your palace. You have allowed it to touch your own child. You have allowed it to teach youth about feelings and emotions. This is wrong. This is a betrayal of our strength." The hall fell silent. "We demand that you remove this human from the palace. We demand that you return to the old ways. We demand that you show this assembly that the people still value power over weakness." The Queen did not move. She sat on her throne high above the hall. Her shell was bright green. Her eyes were like burning coals. "Is this the will of this assembly?" she asked. Her voice was soft, but it filled the entire chamber. Several ambassadors from other systems spoke in support of. Some remained silent. Others moved to the opposite side of the debate. The human delegation looked at each other with confusion and worry. The Queen raised one of her upper arms. The hall fell completely silent. "You ask if I should remove the human from my palace," she said. "You ask if I should turn away from new ways. You demand that I choose power over all other things. Very well. I will answer your question not with words but with an action." She made a signal. A door at the far end of the hall opened. 2 guards walked through. Between them walked. The young was now almost as large as an adult human. Its shell was a deep blue with patterns of gold and silver running across its surface. Its eyes were bright and intelligent. It moved with grace and purpose. Everyone in the hall could see that this creature was strong and healthy and superior to any young they had ever seen. But that was not what made the hall gasp. Saw Daniel in the viewing chamber. The young's eyes locked onto him. For a moment there was complete stillness, then moved. The creature ran across the hall, its many legs moving with perfect coordination. It was fast. It was graceful. It was the image of strength. It did not run toward the Queen. It ran toward the viewing chamber where Daniel stood. It jumped. Its powerful legs carried it up into the high chamber. The entire assembly watched in amazement as the young creature reached Daniel. Wrapped around the human in a display of perfect trust and affection, the creature made a sound. It was a sound that had never come from a young before. It was not a hard clicking. It was a different sound. A sound that the translation devices struggled to interpret, but the meaning was clear to every being in the hall. The young was crying. And through the translation device that broadcast the Queen's words, everyone heard what was saying. The creature was repeating one word again and again. One simple word in the human language that even the youngest humans understood. "Father, father, father." The hall erupted. Some ambassadors stood up. Some made sounds of outrage. Others were silent, their faces showing they were thinking deep thoughts. But none of them could deny what they had just seen. A creature of the most powerful species in the galaxy had chosen a human. The queen's own offspring had claimed a human as family. It was impossible. It should have been impossible. But it had happened. Daniel held and felt the small creature shake with emotion. He looked out at the assembly and saw the faces of aliens from 100 worlds. He saw fear in some. He saw wonder in others. He saw anger and confusion and slowly, very slowly, understanding. Lord stood frozen. His black shell did not move. His eyes were wide. Everything he had said about human weakness had just been proven false, in the most public way possible, in front of 50 star systems. The queen stood up on her throne. Her voice was louder than any other sound in the hall. "This is the answer to your question," she said. "This creature here, raised in human ways, guided by human love, has more strength in its body and mind than any young raised in the old way. This human has not weakened my child. This human has made my child strong in ways we forgot how to be strong." She pointed one arm toward the assembly. "I will not remove the human from my palace. I will not return to the old ways, and I will tell you all something else. From this day forward, the people and the human people will stand together. We will be partners. We will be equals. Any who disagree with this choice are welcome to leave my service." The chamber filled with the sound of clicking and hissing and the voices of 100 different species. But underneath all that noise, Daniel could hear something else. He could hear the sound of safe and loved and home. He held the young close and felt the weight of history shift. Everything had changed. And it had changed in one moment, with one simple word. "Father, the days after the assembly were strange and full of change. The palace was no longer cold. The hard clicking sounds of anger were replaced by something new, a sound like wind moving through open spaces, the sound of things shifting." The queen granted Daniel a formal title. He was now the royal guardian of the air. It was a position that had never existed before. No human had ever held such a place. No one outside the species had ever been given such honor, but the queen saw what others were beginning to understand. Daniel was not a threat. He was a bridge. Lord left the palace. He took his followers with him. They went to the outer systems where the old ways still held power. There, they would work against the queen and against the new alliance. But the queen did not try to stop them. She knew that change would bring resistance. She knew that not everyone would accept what was happening. But more important than departure was what came after. Within 1 week, the first human colony was granted trade rights with the Empire. Within 2 weeks, Earth received an official message from the Queen herself. Not a demand, not a command, an offer of partnership. General Hayes arrived at the palace 3 weeks later. She was an old soldier within her hair and lines on her face. She had fought in wars across 3 continents. She had made decisions that cost thousands of lives. Nothing surprised her anymore. But when she saw Daniel something in her face changed. She watched as the young rested against Daniel. She watched as Daniel fed the creature and made it laugh with strange human sounds. She watched as they moved together like they were one being made of 2 different forms. "You changed everything," General Hayes said. "I just protected a child," Daniel said. "No," the queen said. She had entered the chamber quietly. Her voice was soft, but it filled the room. "He did more than that. He showed us something we had forgotten. He showed us that power is not the only thing that matters in the universe." The queen sat down on a low stone. For the first time, Daniel saw her as something other than a ruler. He saw her as a mother who had been changed by what she saw in Daniel and "My people have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, the queen said. "We have conquered, we have dominated, we have always been strong. But strength without heart is empty. Strength without love is just violence. I was wise enough to see this. I was strong enough to accept it." She looked at Daniel. "Many of my people will not accept this. They will work against you. They will try to destroy what we are building, but they are wrong. I know this because I see it every day in. This young creature is stronger than any I have ever known, not because of power, because of love. Made a sound of happiness and wrapped its upper arms around Daniel. Over the next months, Daniel became more than the Queen's tool for change. He became something unexpected. He became a symbol. Humans across the galaxy saw what had happened and felt hope. They saw that a human could be accepted as equal, that a human could love and be loved by the greatest species in the known universe. But it was not easy. Human colonies rebelled against the new order. They did not want to be equals with they wanted to be independent. Some saw the treaty as a betrayal of human freedom. Ships were sent to preserve order. People died. Change always costs something. On Earth, there was celebration but also fear. News feeds carried the story of the human who had become the heir's father. It was the greatest news story of the century. Humans knew that everything had changed, but they did not yet know if the change was good or bad. Daniel wrote letters to his family. He wrote about the palace. He wrote about the strange beauty of the world and the kindness he had found in an unexpected place. He told them not to be afraid. He told them that the future would be better. He did not know if this was true, but he wrote it anyway because his family needed hope. 1 year after the assembly, the Queen established the first joint human and university. Humans would learn together. They would share knowledge. They would build something new that belonged to both species. Attended the opening ceremony with Daniel. The young was now almost fully grown. Its shell was the color of deep ocean water. Its eyes held the intelligence of both species. Daniel was 35 years old. He had been on the world for almost 3 years. Earth seemed very far away now. But when he thought of his home world, he did not feel sadness. He felt like a bridge between two worlds. He felt like he belonged in both places and neither place at the same time. After the ceremony, wrapped around him and made the sound that meant happiness. "I was thinking," Daniel said, "what if we went to Earth? What if you saw where I come from?" Made a questioning sound. "My family lives there," Daniel said. "They want to meet you. They want to know my child." It was the first time Daniel had used that word in front of the Queen. My child, not the creature, not the young, my child. The Queen appeared from the shadows where she had been watching. She had a way of moving that made her almost invisible if she wanted to be. "Go," the Queen said. "Take to your world. Let the people of Earth see what is possible when different species can love each other. Let them see that we are stronger together than we were apart." 3 months later, a ship landed in New York City. It was the first time it had openly visited Earth since first contact. The landing caused chaos. Traffic stopped. News crews arrived from around the world. People gathered to watch. Daniel walked down the ramp first, came after him. The young's shell glittered in the sun. Its many legs moved with perfect grace. For a moment, the gathered crowd was silent. Then someone started to clap, then another person, then more. Soon the entire crowd was making noise, not the sound of fear, the sound of wonder, the sound of humans seeing the future and finding it beautiful. Daniel's family waited at the base of the ship. His sister, Emma, his brother, Robert, his mother, who was old and had never expected to leave her small town, saw them and made a soft sound. The creature moved toward them not with the hard certainty of a warrior, but with the gentle care of a child meeting family for the first time. Emma reached out her hand, touched it gently with one of its front limbs. The moment was captured by 1,000 cameras. It would be shown across the world. It would be the image that changed how humans thought about aliens forever. This image was not of conquest. It was not of fear. It was of connection. It was of a family, strange and impossible and absolutely real. Daniel stood between two worlds and held them both in his heart. The Queen had asked him one question when he first agreed to stay in the palace. She had asked if he would die for. He had said yes. But now he understood that he had done something harder than dying. He had lived. He had loved. He had changed the universe by doing the most human thing possible. He had chosen to see the good in others and to protect it with everything he had. That was the real power. Not weapons, not conquest, not power. Love. And on a day when an alien child met its human father's family for the first time, the universe became a little bit smaller and a lot more hopeful. The future had begun.